guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be filming my tips for starting an upcycling brand from scratch. I'm Lydia. I've had my upcycling brand for 7 years. I studied fashion, then worked as a designer for a couple of years, and in 2019 my job, because I wanted my career to be more about sustainability, and I started building up my upcycling brand from then. I've worked with loads of brands like Lime, Lidl, Adidas, Nike, Pinterest, Ecova, Damson Madder, Bull in the Gang, Solomon. You can have a look on my website if you want to see them all. I've worked with loads of brands, so I think I have quite a lot of understanding and experience on how to build an upcycling brand, as well as seeing other people who've started upcycling brands. It has worked really well. These are just my tips based off my experience and thoughts. I've made some notes because I am likely to forget some really good points that I wrote down earlier. Another big question I get is how to get brand partnerships, because I also get quite a lot of brand partnerships, and we'll see how long this gets. Maybe I can answer that in this video. If not, we can make another one, but this one is going to predominantly be about my 5 key tips for how to start an upcycling brand from scratch. So before we start, skills. Do you need to be able to sew to start an upcycling brand? I would say you've got a real advantage if you know how to sew, because you're going to be able to be way more adaptable and responsive to your designs. You can make your designs yourself, which at the start is going to save you loads of money because you don't need to pay a seamstress or someone else to make it. But equally, I do know quite a few people that have got successful upcycling brands who don't actually know how to sew, but they are really good at sales and marketing, which is another really key thing in having an actual brand. So if you don't know how to sew, I would probably suggest learning, just because I think if you've got an understanding of these things, you're not just reliant on someone telling you the best way things that can be done, but you can actually have your own understanding and knowledge on it. And for someone who is maybe a control freak like me, I think that's really important to have. Point number 1 is having a clear USP, and that is a clear, unique selling point, a real focus, and that's so people get to know you and you become an expert in one area. Picking one waste stream and building your brand around that one waste stream. That could be denim, it could be you rework suits, it could be that you rework blankets. By having one clear focus, you're going to become known for one area. So when I started my brand, it was about 7 years ago, so there was way less people upcycling. So great that so many more people now want to do it. But I think because of that, it's really helpful to have a clear differentiator. Then you can become the expert in that area and people really will know you for one thing. And then once you've got that reputation, then you can add in other things and build outward. When I started, compared to other brands which were sustainable, I really clearly was just focused on reusing materials. So I became known for reworking materials and giving them a new life. And that clear focus on one key area of sustainability, reuse, really helped me build my brand. If you want the easiest route to success, I would choose one area within waste to focus, and then down the line, of course, you can add in other waste streams that you work with. Point number 2 is have a really clear customer in mind. When I first started, I had no idea about kind of designing for a specific customer, and it's something that I wish I had known from the start. When people say that their product is for anyone, that's like the worst possible answer. You, your mom, your granny, your niece, you might all want the same thing, but there's going to be one of you that wants it the most, and that is your core customer. Of course, other people can buy your products for sure, but you want to have one really, really clear customer in mind, and you want to make sure that they love your product so much that the other people are just kind of secondary customers and like basically bonuses that they also want to get it. Having a really clear customer in mind, you can make sure that your product is made to fit their disposable income, to fit their aesthetics and style. Your marketing can fit into all the places that they like to go so they can come across your brand. So having a really clear customer from the start informs basically everything else. Knowing who your customer is, you know how much they spend on your clothing. For me, when I started, my ideal customer was kind of like my friends, so I know they spend say around 75 to 120 pounds on an item of clothing. And that I know, okay, so my item is way more special than the mass-produced item they bought from a shop, so I don't need to have my price the same. So I can have my price maybe double what they would spend. It's stretched to buy something that was really limited edition and upcycled, but it's unlikely that they would spend 600 pounds on an item of clothing, because that is say 5 times the amount that they normally spend on clothing. How much I want to sell my item of clothing for, I can work backwards and work out, okay, so if I want to sell it for 150 pounds, then the cost price, I don't want to be more than 75 pounds. So in that 75 pounds, I need to factor in the price of the materials, how long it's going to take to make and paying someone the correct amount to make it in those hours, the design details, the trims, everything like that. What I want my sale price to be, I can inform my design, so I know if it needs to be made, say, within 3 hours, then I can work out how complicated a design I can do. Working backwards like that, it really helps you understand how to work out how you can design your product. But you only know this information from knowing who your customer is and knowing how much they typically spend on things. Because it's upcycled, you're not trying to compete on the price. So it's not like, okay, you can get a dress in, I don't know, somewhere else for £50, it needs to be £50. It definitely can be a lot more, well, definitely should be a lot more expensive than that, but you want to work out, is it still going to be a price that your ideal customer is going to pay? If not, maybe you need to think about, firstly, do you actually need to develop who your customer is going to be, and actually you need to then develop your designs to suit a person who will have that disposable income and will pay for it. The design less complicated, more simple, so it then can be made within the ideal price point. Number 3 is designing 1 or 2 really amazing products and starting off with this. A really easy thing that I'm going to say with so much love, because I also had the same problem, is as a creative, as a designer, we want to do everything. We want to design so many different things. We want to make it super fun, super interesting. We want to do a bag, a jacket, a hat, a shoe, a trouser. We want to design a full collection. If you're starting an upcycling brand from scratch, I would pare this all back and just start with 1 or 2 key designs. The reason is you're going to get so much feedback from when you start. Your products are going to evolve and change. So by getting 1 or 2 key designs, which you have based off your ideal customer, you know they're going to love it. It's really, you know, right and fitting, and they're just going to adore it so much. Starting off with 1 or 2 key designs, you can get your pieces designed. They're obviously upcycled, more slower process to make your product. You have to do a lot more sourcing. Most things are a one-off, maybe, you know, a very small run of each, which means there's going to be so much variation within your fabrics and your colours that actually I don't think you need as much variation within your design, and it's much easier to scale in a product-based way if you've just got 1 or 2 core designs, which you then can do in loads of different secondhand fabrics that you find. You're going to be able to get feedback based off these designs. It's really important not to spend loads of time doing loads of different designs at once, but start small, understand what your customer really loves, get feedback on it, do tweaks based off their feedback, and then your design can evolve and iterate, and then you might get feedback saying, I love this top so much, I wish I had a matching trouser. And then you know, okay, great, people really want a matching trouser. That's a really good next product to do. Creating products that your customers are almost already asking for, so you're giving them stuff that you 100% know that they want, rather than at the beginning you are just guessing. So to save yourself lots of time and energy, which could potentially be wasted on designing and making loads of different products, just start small, design a few things that you are 100% sure your customer is really going to love, and from there build outwards. All my points are so boring of just starting small, but honestly I think when you are starting an upcycling brand or any brand, it is so overwhelming. There's so many different things that you can do. I think particularly if you're a creative, like we just always have so many different ideas. Kind of try and be quite pared back, try and start small, and then you can add everything else in. Similar to how I started my brand being product based, and it was as my brand evolved, that was when I added in the workshops, that was when I added in the content, that was when I added in the brand partnerships. But I didn't start my brand thinking I would do all of these things, and I think this has actually also really helped me, because I didn't start trying to be really good at everything. I started quite small, and then I kind of got good at something, then something else would be added in, and then I could get good at that thing and get good at that thing, rather than like starting on zero from everything. But I just think it is a really overwhelming stage when you're starting a business and a brand, so don't try to do it all at once, and actually you'll be more successful if you just try and do a couple of things, get really good at them, and then add in other things. Point number 4 is, and I'm going to say this with so much love because I really needed to hear this in 2019 and I wish I had found it out sooner, but if you come from a creative maker's background, you have to spend as much time on your marketing as you do on your making. If you want to have an upcycling business which actually pays your bills, then we have to make money, and we make money from people learning about our products, from people discovering what we do, and that comes from marketing. Marketing is simply getting your product in front of the people who would want to buy it. So back to point number 2, why knowing who your customer is so important is, and you know where else they like to shop, what magazines they read, what music they listen to, kind of all of the other products and things that they love, then you just want to put your product in the same place as all of these things. That might be trying to do a pop-up in like an independent boutique that you know your ideal customer likes to go to, might be trying to do a market stall, trying to show up in all of these places. It's just trying to put your product and your brand in all of the places that your customer wants to be. Social media is amazing. It's a free platform. You can reach anyone in the world. I personally think it's been a really democratizing way to grow a brand, find customers all over the world in such an easy, simple way, but you have to make so much time for your marketing. When you're doing an upcycling brand, I would say you want to spend some time talking about the waste stream, but you also need to spend a good amount of time just showing the products and them being really beautiful, amazing products, and showing why your customer would want to buy the products. The reason someone buys something won't be because it's upcycled and because it's sustainable. We buy stuff because of that. We buy items of clothing because we love it. How you shop, you're buying stuff because you really like it and you think it will really work in your wardrobe, and of course you're influenced by decisions of like sustainability. I would imagine if you're watching this, same as me, I'm influenced by, is it sustainable? And I'm not going to buy something from an unsustainable brand. But equally, I don't want something just because it's sustainable. I only want something if I think it's going to be an item of clothing that I'm really going to love and I'm really going to wear. Talking about how amazing it is, how good it will look, where you're going to wear it to, how you can style it, all of those things that really draw people in, not just communicating the sustainable benefits. Point number 5 is done is better than perfect. There isn't a perfect logo, there isn't a perfect brand name, there isn't really a perfect product. You want everything to be as good as it possibly can be. Definitely don't compromise on the quality of things. However, from my experience and pretty much everyone else's I know, everything you do in business is going to evolve and adapt and change over time. Learn so much from even just your first few sales, from your first few things being put out there, and that will inform the next thing that you do. Worry about things being absolutely perfect. I think that is probably the biggest reason which prevents people from getting anywhere, is by worrying about perfection, and actually done, getting it out the door is so much better. I'm not meaning low quality products, make things really high quality, but don't let the fear of it not being like really perfect stop you from actually getting it done. Everything I've done has evolved and changed so much over time. I started very product based, now I do so many workshops, even my style of workshop has evolved so much. Everything has informed the next one. I've learned how to do it better, so it's always going to be constantly evolving and changing. Don't worry about something needing to look super professional or super elevated before you can get it out there. Just go for it and you will learn so much along the way, but you won't be able to learn those things until you've put something out there. So much learning just comes from you making the mistakes yourself, which again, we don't make the mistakes unless we're actually doing something in order to learn. If you've got any questions on any of them, just comment, let me know, or send me a DM. I hope that gives you some good clear tips on starting an upcycling brand. And to finish, I thought I would just tell you some practical steps. So we're going to pretend that you have done all of those other 5 points that I've spoken about. I would then have my 1 to 2 key designs. I would have documented the entire process of designing them, making them, getting feedback on them, research where the design has come from, where the sourcing has come from, where the materials have come from, unpicking the creating of it. I would have documented all of that and started building a social media page, probably sharing it to kind of get people interested. You don't need to have your final product before you get people involved in the journey. I actually think the best brands are the brands that have already started this. They've already like a really clear vibe and aesthetic, and you can have started doing that from way before you're ready to sell your product. Then I would do a little photo shoot, just something really easy. You don't need to invest lots of money on it. I basically did everything with zero budget for like at least the first 2 to 3 years of me having my brand. I was working in the pub full time in the evenings to pay my bills for me to work in the day, and I just had really limited to no disposable income post paying my rent basically. So you can just do things without needing to invest a huge amount to start with. Just get it going. Like I said, point number 5, done is better than perfect. I would then probably start made to order to really start getting my products out there without too much of a time investment. I've found people are normally always happy to wait 2 to 4 weeks for an item of clothing, just to make sure the customer understands how long it's going to take for them to arrive. Or if you're doing a pop-up, then making a small batch of them for the pop-up. Really wouldn't sleep on how impactful pop-ups and markets can be at the early stages of your brand. It is such a good way to get real in-person, instant customer feedback on stuff. On socials, in a way, the feedback can feel a little fake. It's quite easy either to just like heart something, or it's really easy to say, oh, so cool. But when you've got someone in real life actually saying that to your face, I think it just feels a lot more weightier compliment. Actually, they actually really have said it to your face that they really like it. Or maybe you just see them looking at it for a while, and from that you can kind of tell that they really like it. You'll also be able to see what things people are particularly drawn to, brings your brand, which might be fairly virtual to start with, into the real day-to-day world and interactions with people. First year of starting out of my business, I would definitely be doing pop-ups and markets as much as I could to get real in-person feedback, to see what people really liked, and really help build those relationships with customers in real life. In-person relationship is worth 10 to 15 times, if not more, than just someone following you on socials. It's quite easy to follow someone on socials, but if you've met them in real life, it is so much stronger a connection that you have built with them and that they have to the brand and the products that you make. It's something like if someone holds it in real life, they're 30% more likely to purchase it. And I think that's because when you hold something, you can like feel the materials, you can hold it up against you, you can see how much you like it, you can see how well made it is. A lot of the questions and the reasons to not buy something is how in person you can skip over a lot of those questions and issues that people have, a lot of the barriers for why they don't buy. When I used to do markets, I always used to sell super well, and it was just way easier to sell things, and I think that's because of the in-person physical element. I would also really make sure that I'm starting a newsletter. What I used to do was limited edition drops, and I would say if you're on my newsletter, you can shop the drop say an hour or maybe even a day before everyone else, and this drives people to sign up to your newsletter because they want to be able to shop first. With starting upcycling brands, so of course we've got that genuine benefit of exclusivity, the genuine limited editionness of everything that you make. These are things that people are like desperate to have within marketing because it really encourages people to shop, and the scarcity of the product is genuine, and it just is a fact of it being upcycled. Maybe that's our silver lining of everything being so much more labor intensive when it's upcycled, is that we actually really can communicate the scarcity of the product because there is scarcity, and scarcity is one of the key reasons why people buy. I don't know if that sounds a bit weird, but it is like, it's the fear of not being able to get it, and you can still do this in a way which still promotes conscious consumption. So most likely if it's upcycled, you're probably attracting customers that are quite considered with their purchasing habits. That's what I found anyway, is it's still people that are still buying in a conscious way, and they just really might like a certain colourway before it's sold. So I think definitely try and build a newsletter and drive people to sign up to the newsletter. Really keen customer, and that's kind of what you want to build and nurture the most, is that one step above just like a follower on social media. Just to do a quick little recap of this, so I would do pop-ups and markets, I would do a photo shoot to display my amazing upcycled product. I would do as much content as possible showing the item of clothing in different contexts so people can understand all the different ways that they can wear it and love it. I would make sure that I am chatting about how great the item of clothing is and how fun it looks and how much people are going to enjoy wearing it, not just the benefits of it being upcycled, and also really not just the process of making it. You don't want to get too caught in the trap of find that super interesting. People love process vids, but you could then lean more into how to. Whereas if you're actually wanting to start an upcycling brand from selling product, then I would make sure you've also got enough of the product in situ, people wearing it. I think that's everything for now. I feel like I've chatted so much. I also get a lot of questions about brand partnerships. How do I get brand partnerships? So I think I'm going to do another video like this all about brand partnerships. So if you have any questions about that, comment, let me know. I have done loads of brand partnerships, which is so fun, and actually has been a really key way that my brand has grown. I also get asked a lot about how to get an agent. I think the answer to that is fairly similar to how I get brand partnerships, so I will answer those in my next chatty vid. And my next vlog is all about my insanely busy week. There's so much going on. I've got like 4 or 5 workshops in the next 2 weeks. I hope it's given you some tips and a really clear guide on how you can start your own upcycling brand, and good luck. So exciting that you want to start an upcycling brand. It's going to do super well, but my final tip would be, it is so hard. Be prepared for this to be a long game. An upcycling brand is much harder to build, even compared to a really small independent business that also does small runs. Upcycling is just harder because you're using fabric which you might not be able to get any more of. So often all of this work is only ever split up into one sale, maybe a couple of sales. So it is a lot harder, but you can do it. It just will take time. I think you have to be really adaptable in your mindset. If something is popular and people are interested in something which you didn't start off thinking about would be your area, kind of just follow it, a bit like I've done with workshops. I didn't start off thinking I would do workshops, but people were really interested, that really love running them. I love the in-person element. I love chatting to people. I love helping someone feel really good about themselves, and actually that is what you can do in a workshop. My friends often say I'm like the #1 hype queen because I just always love complimenting people. I love always telling someone how good they look or how they can do it, and actually that is what a workshop is all about, is basically just telling people, giving them the confidence to be able to do something which they often come into the workshop unsure if they can do. So yeah, I've gone on a tangent, but that is why I love doing workshops, and I didn't know that I would like doing workshops when I started. So allow yourself to be adaptable to what comes in, to what people are interested in. Let your brand grow, but definitely start small and then let it grow out. Good luck, you can do it. It's going to be so good. If you have any questions or want any more tips, then just comment and let me know.